So I think we're all ready to start. So welcome everyone to my event about empowering women and girls in Haiti through mental health infrastructure. So we have guests who are involved in Haiti and will give a short presentation and answer my questions. Then we will open it up for discussion. So for my attendees, please feel free to use the chat to comment on the discussion, to ask questions, and you can also enter your email for networking. So first, I'm gonna introduce my guests. So please wave and say hi when I say your name so the attendees will know who you are. First, we have Dr. Sidna Valentin. Hi. She is a clinical psychologist, clinical director, and supervisor for Let's Talk Psychological Wellness in New York. She worked in Haiti with Zami La Santé, the sister affiliate of Partners in Health, PIH, and provided training at the Hospital of Mille Ballet, focused on staff care delivery in areas with severe mental illness, such as psychosis, bipolar disorder, as well as depression, trauma, and others. Dr. Valentin is a former intern for the American Psychological Association, APA, NGO committee at the United Nations. Thank you for being here. Then we have Father Wisming Jean-Charles. He is a Haitian Catholic priest and educational psychologist residing in the Vatican. He received his PhD in psychology in Fordham University in New York and postdoctoral fellow in global mental health in Harvard University Medical School in Massachusetts. He is the founder of Center of Spirituality and Mental Health in Haiti, CESA, which provides psychological services to marginalized population and runs annual conferences about which he has written several books. He is a representative for the UN team of the International Association of Applied Psychology, IAAP, headed by another one of our speakers, Dr. Judy Kriensky, who has collaborated with him for years on training for recovery in Haiti.
Hello. Thank you.
Next,
Thank you.
We have Dr. Gilbert Bastien. She's a native Haitian, a clinical psychologist, and an associate director for the Office of Global Health Equity at Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, an assistant professor in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Science. Dr. Bastien's research and clinical interests focus on the intersection of culture and mental health services for underserved populations. She was a fellow at Satcher Health Leadership Institute Health Policy, NIH for Gartey Global Health Fellow, and collaborated with the Carter Center Mental Health Program, which focused on understanding mental health and resilience in Ebola-affected community in Liberia. She also worked as a consultant on Emory University funded pilot grant in Sierra Leone. And ultimately, Dr. Bastien's passion is to help create environments where individuals and communities affected by adversity can move toward recovery and a meaningful life. Then we have Dr. Judy Kriensky.
Hi, everybody.
So Dr. Judy Kriensky is an internationally known clinical psychologist, award-winning journalist, and author. She is my professor of psychology and education at Columbia University Teachers College, who inspired me to do this event in my research about the empowerment of women and girls in Haiti. She is the main NGO representative of the International Association of Applied Psychology, IAAP, and the World Council of Psychotherapy in consultative status with ECOSOC at the UN, as well as the founding president of the Psychology Coalition, who headed a successful campaign to include mental health and well-being in the United Nations agenda. She has done a lot of humanitarian work in Haiti and partnered with Father Wisming, setting up the Center for Spirituality and Mental Health and doing psychosocial workshops and trainings over many years to build community resilience after the tragic earthquake in 2010 and the subsequent Hurricane Matthew. She has also co-wrote a theme song with Batsy for Haiti with her music partner, Wassel Daisy. Next, we have Dr. Larissa Portnoy. She is a clinical psychologist and a former doctoral student in the Global Mental Health Lab with Dr. Helen Verdali, and has analyzed data for Partners in Health, BIH, and Zami Lasanté to consider what implemented clinical mental health care in Haiti has been useful and to determine better treatment stratifications. Dr. Portnoy has worked at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP, and mental health and educational services for unhoused youth living in Los Angeles, California. Dr. Portnoy wants to empower women and girls globally and to implement coordinated healthcare. Last, we have Melanie Schneider. She is a graduate student at Teachers College, Columbia University, majoring in psychology, with a focus on spirituality, mind, and body connection, and also a former student of Dr. Kriansky. Her main focus in the last 2 years has been on working to bring authenticity and holistic well-being to mission-driven female leaders, concentrating on populations in South and North America, as well as Europe. She also studied at the Arava Institute for Environmental Studies in the south of Israel, where she engaged in peace-building dialogue between Israelis, Palestinian, Jordanians, and various international populations. Thank you all for being here again. I really appreciate it. Before the panelists each present, let me give you a context about my beloved country of Haiti, and show you some harrowing videos about the current disastrous situation of violence. Be prepared, what you see could be upsetting. I'm gonna share my slides now. All right. So next slide. There we go. So a brief overview, Haiti is a small Caribbean country and the first Black republic to gain its independence from the slave revolt. The official language are French and Haitian Creole, and the capital is Port-au-Prince. Since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, Prime Minister Ariel Henry was mandated as the de facto ruler. Haiti is a mountainous country made up primarily of two rugged mountain chains, and due to its location, Haiti is prone to natural disasters, such as devastating hurricane and major earthquakes. Next slide. So more than 200 gangs have taken control of 60% of Port-au-Prince. Gang violence has displaced more than 150,000 people from their home and forced aid groups such as Doctors Without Borders to close facilities and relocate staff. Over 2,500 murders are gang-related. Gangs often use kidnappings as a source of revenue. According to the Telegraph, 3 people are kidnapped daily in Haiti. Kidnappers often ask for ransom from $40,000 to millions of dollars. Gang members often use rape as a weapon. They use rape as a tool of intimidation and control. The United Nations has documented over 2,600 cases of sexual violence in 2022, a 40% increase from the year before. Girls as young as 10 are being gang raped for hours. Next slide. So before playing the videos, I have to say that women and girls are mainly the target of gang rapes and sexual violence. Since mental health care is severely lacking in Haiti, young girls and women are often left with untreated trauma that leads to depression, anxiety, PTSD, and suicide. In a country of around 11 million people, fewer than one psychologist or psychiatrist serve every 100,000 Haitian in 2016, according to the WHO. Psychiatric hospitals are often understaffed and underfunded. This video depicts the situation my fellow Haitian women and girls are experiencing right now. So we're gonna play the video.
Bon, à partir, l'aime te fait 3 jours. Là, en dedans, je me suis mariée, te fait 3 jours. Il t'a violé, mais te volé tous les 3 jours. Il pas de bon manger, mais il te bat moi. Il te bat moi, il pas de bon manger. Bon, pas qu'à dire dans qui chambre que me t'ai parce que je pas trouvé rien du tout.
Bandi sorti côté le sorti, mettez-moi dehors, bat-moi, touye marim, violem, mettez-moi sous lit. Et puis faire perdre tout ça me posséder. Moi pas bien, moi pas à l'aise. Tout ça dérange complètement. Et me arrivé dans une position pour me détruire tête moi.
Tu t'imagines une femme qui te dit qu'elle n'a rien pour manger, qu'elle n'a rien de donner qu'elle n'a rien de donner aux enfants, une personne l'a violée par rapport à l'insécurité. Son mari n'est pas là, on a tué son mari, la personne est entrée dans la maison, on l'a violée. Tu t'imagines qu'une personne qui te dit qu'elle va à sa communauté, qu'elle va dans son pays pour voir comment est la situation, parce que Port-au-Prince, la ville de Port-au-Prince est un peu difficile, et durant le bus, 2, 3, 5 personnes l'ont violée. C'est tragique. Et lorsque tu vois cette personne, malheureusement, la personne est enceinte, malheureusement, la personne est atteinte du VIH, malheureusement, cette même personne est atteinte de papillomavirus, c'est presque une vie gâchée. Respirez. Pas mal? Vous entendez? Et puis là, ok? Là, pas mal.
Gang warfare often erupts here in broad daylight. Why not? Gunmen are in league with corrupt politicians and have some police on the payroll. That's according to human rights campaigners who say the gangs of Port-au-Prince have no limits. There are many here with stories that are harrowing to tell and to hear, like this man. His neighbourhood is controlled by a gang whose rivals came on a killing spree. For his safety, we are not naming the area or the armed group involved.
Et pendant que j'ai tellement peur, je ne pas bien trembler. I was in the house and I was so scared, I was shaking. I didn't know what to do. They mostly kill young men. My wife took me and hid me under the bed and covered me with piles of clothes. And my nephew was hiding in the wardrobe.
Soon the gunmen were in his house. When his nephew ran from his hiding place, they chased him and killed him.
What hurts me the most is that when I was under the bed, I couldn't see, but I could hear the men raping my wife. They were raping her, and I was under the bed, and I could say nothing.
There are things you would never wish on anyone, he says. His wife is now pregnant, and they don't know if he is the father. He tells us Haiti has been erased from their hearts. Some police here are risking their lives, trying to make the streets safe. But others have actually formed their own gang. And Haiti's weak and tainted government is accused of looking the other way as the crisis deepens. Orla Guerin, BBC News, Port-au-Prince.
The performance. Well, I'm really, to start it off, and I'm very interested to hear what Father Wismick and Sidna and Joubert and Larissa have to say about this, especially Sidna and Father Wismick, who are on the ground, and Father Wismick goes back all the time. It's just absolutely horrific. Having gone to a country that is so beautiful, filled with such culture and such art and such beautiful people, to see the horror that is going on with all the political corruption over the years that we have suffered through, and now with rape and kidnapping and murder. Father Wismick, over to you.
It's not something that I only see, but I'm living that situation. I have a wonderful friend, a priest. He's kidnapped 3 days ago. So I was in the meeting to see what can we do. And Judy, you know that place. It was Villa Marez when you first went to Haiti, 29. You stayed in that place, in that house on the mountain, Villa Marez. And this place, a good friend of mine, Jean-Yves, he is kidnapped. And 4 days ago, there is no news. So when you said, Melissa, 4 people were kidnapped daily, so it's not something I just read on paper. So I'm living that situation. So, I mean, to see how it's heartbreaking for me to see, as you said, my beautiful country, and seeing how it become now, it's for me heartbreaking, seeing that. And the point is, what can we do? That's my question. What can we do? Because we cannot just stay and be like this. We need to do something. And I don't know, what can we do together? Because it's not something that we can accept, that we live in that situation.
Sidna, you've been there.
Yes, thank you, Melissa, for giving us some context, or giving the whole audience some context to the situation on the ground, similar to Per Wismick, and because I was asked to share, I do still have family in Haiti, and I also have a family of colleagues and dear friends from my years of actually working and living there who continue to confide in me and share their stories. And it is horrific. It is upsetting. I also had a friend who was kidnapped last fall, and gratefully was eventually released. And some of what we'll probably get into today and discuss, we encountered the obstacles in getting her care and reducing stigma around what had happened to her and helping her to get the support that she needed for her mental health. And so, discussions like this are helpful. And at the same time, I think we need to acknowledge that, the issues are complex and profound, and there's many interventions that are needed.
Do any of the other speakers want to respond to that before we move on to the presentation?
All right, then. First, I will ask the guests to present themselves. Dr. Sinna, if you can go first, great. Present your work and, what do you think about this topic? And
Sure. First, I'd like to say thank you, Melissa, for inviting me to be on this panel, as well as Chair Wismick. Despite the topic at hand, am delighted to be on the panel with esteemed colleagues and friends and people whom I've had the privilege of thinking about and working on and loving on Haiti and her people for so many years. And I can share with the audience that I worked in Haiti soon after the earthquake while interning for the APA NGO committee at the UN, and became very involved with relief efforts, and eventually collected some dissertation data in Haiti that led to me working in the educational sector, and then ultimately for Zami La Santé and PIH. As Melissa had already shared at the beginning of our discussion, I worked very closely with the team of psychologists and social workers, providing live supervision for them across 12 health facilities in rural Haiti, specifically the central plateau of Haiti, including maybe what most people are familiar with, the 300-bed hospital in Mirabale. Actually, there may be more beds now. There's been some construction in recent years. So I worked there until 2019, and was very involved with trainings and assisted the team in developing a trauma curriculum, which included a module on gender-based violence, on which we consulted with many local organizations, such as SASA program in Jacmel. And I see in the audience, Elizabeth, who was also very instrumental in helping us to develop that curriculum. So shout out to Elizabeth. While Melissa, gave us some statistics, I think, the broad strokes are that there has been an increase in gang activity in the past few years, which I can say certainly towards the end of my time in Haiti began to increase. And such is the case in any country where there is conflict and violence and a rise in gang activity that also leaves more vulnerable women and girls. And as Melissa alluded to, violence against women and girls is a tactic to instill fear in the population and for gangs to expand their areas of influence. Things like, security, protection, food, drinking water are sort of exchanged for non-consensual sex. So addressing mental health, as is, the point of this discussion today, for women and girls, may address gender gaps by increasing resilience. But as I mentioned earlier, the issues are complex. They are profound, they are broad. And so, discussion has to go beyond mental health, also addressing inequities in education, employment, and of course in healthcare services, and working with community partners, local community partners on the ground, perhaps should be the approach or the strategy in which we attempt to discuss and focus on mental health among women and girls in Haiti.
Thank you, Dr. Valentin. Father Wismith, whenever you're ready.
Unmute.
Yeah, I said I'm so pleased to be on that panel with some friends, some wonderful people. When I see Sidna, we were together at UN as an intern. So it's so good to see Sidna and being with Gigi and Dr. Judy. It's so moving for me to be with those wonderful people. So let me just show you some pictures that you understand where I'm coming from. Yeah, so yeah, I just want to explain about my passion for my work in Haiti. I said that I have a passion for what I'm doing because for 20 years after the Hurricane Jane, so people from Haiti must know about that. When we have in 2004, the Hurricane Jane in Gonaïve, from that region of Gonaïve, and people, they left Gonaïve and went to Tidejun from that village. So my passion for that work is come from that privilege because I consider myself as a privilege. So because I have so privilege, I have that responsibility to give back to my country. So that began in 2004 when I built in my village that center to feed the children. And you can see the first picture, myself with the children from my village, Petite des Dunes. So our work began before the earthquake. And Dr. Judy said, Wismith, I have to go and see the place where you were born. And we went together to Petite des Dunes, and it was before the earthquake that our work began together in Haiti to build consistency in my country. And then after that came the earthquake 2010, and we were there just 3 days after the earthquake with Dr. Judy. I was at that time in New York, and we said we need to be on the ground with the people. We need to do something. And as you can see some pictures, it was just 3 days after the earthquake, and Dr. Judy and myself were there to work with those students. So we said we need to build local capacity. So we begin with the students. And as you can see, so we said we need to train lay people to work with girls. So what we do, we recruit the students to work with the kids. As you can see, you see some girls. It was for us a priority to work with the girls to empower people. And to do that, it was through collaboration. So we believe that we cannot do everything by ourselves. We need to partner with other people. So we partner with people from all over the world to build local capacity in Haiti. And because when the earthquake happened, people came and then they left. After 1-2 months, they left. We said, we need to have something very consistent. So that's why we come with CSW. And before means CESA means the Center for Spirituality and Mental Health. So we do that because we have done a study. So while we're on the ground with the people, Dr. Judy, we realized that people, they believe in God. And because we see that we need to utilize the faith of the people that we use that in mental health, because faith helps sustain the people. So that's why we funded the Center of Spirituality and Mental Health to support the children, to help the country. And with that, we have every year a conference. So that's why Sidna went to that conference, Gigi every year come to that conference, and Dr. Judy. And to do that, we partner with the government, because we need to do something consistent. As you can see, it was last year that we have that conference to train teachers, to train leaders, to develop best practices to help the children. And then we said that we need to equip grassroots women that they can respond to trauma on the country. And to do that, as I said, we partner with the government. And this is myself and the one in charge of mental health in Haiti, that we come together to do something to help our country. So this is the work that we are doing in Haiti, and we continue to work with the people to build structure, to build consistency, to build local capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Wismick. Dr. Gilbert Bassi, share yours.
Thank you, Melissa. I have to first thank and acknowledge you as an example of a piece that I'm going to feature here in terms of young folks in Haiti and the great asset and potential that they bring. I bring greetings to everyone from Atlanta, Georgia, and I know that opening sort of video is very sobering and upsetting for all the reasons my colleagues have outlined, because for many of us, these are not just abstract notions, but very, very close to home, very close to the heart. And also, though, it compels us to figure out what brick can we bring to the building that needs to be built here for wholeness and for operating in really difficult circumstances. So I wanted to situate my remarks in a bit of context. Melissa shared a bit about my bio and background, but wanted to acknowledge that I come to this discussion as a daughter of Haiti who left home not long after this picture was taken. Like many folks, my family took the journey to establish ourselves here in the US, and for many years that was the primary sort of focus is building a life in a home here in the States. And really did not feel as strong a pull to get home until the catastrophic 2010 earthquake that many of us are familiar with, that really delivered quite the blow to my home country. The statistics are there, but for any of us who walked in the space during that time, it's hard to even convey what the impacts of that disaster were. And so at the time, I was a doctoral student in clinical psychology, and that was the first instance where I felt pulled to take my sort of training experiences and the things that I have to bring to really fostering wellness at home. And a huge part of that work informs the work that I do now. So I wanted to provide that context. And I also wanted to supplement the context that Melissa provided in sort of localizing and situating Haiti geographically. I know this is familiar for a lot of folks here, but I never want to take for granted when we speak about Haiti that everyone sort of knows what we're talking about, because I think Haiti represents many different things for many people and can be sort of lumped as one thing, and I wanted to provide some sort of nuance and context around that discussion. And so, as many of us know, this is a nation that shares an island with the Dominican Republic and is literally less than 1,000 miles from the shores of the US, right? At the same time, this Haiti that we sort of talk about as one kind of monolith has sort of layers of nuance that I think should inform our thinking and our discussions, right? So Haiti is broken into 10 departments or regions across the country that further break down into districts, of which there are 42, or arrondissements, as we refer to them, that then break down into 150 almost cities and towns across our side of the island, that then break into over 500 even smaller rural communities. And at each of these levels of these units represent distinct sort of culture, subculture, distinct sort of practices, traditions, and richness and nuance that I think are important and often get lost in the mix in our discussions about Haiti, even as we're thinking about the focus of our discussion today of the political instability. And there is a lot to be upset about that's really disheartening and heartbreaking, as everyone has spoken to. And that's not the whole story. And there's a whole lot of Haiti that sort of feels and experiences those realities in very different and distinct ways. And further, there's this slice of Haiti, which I think of as almost the 11th department, right? So in the nation of Haiti, we have 11.5 roughly million folks as the population on the ground. But then outside of Haiti, sons and daughters of Haiti are spread all over the world, with the largest chunk having taken residence here in the US. And so my work sort of sits in this space of bridging the realities, the lives, and then with that, my focus in mental health and psychology of Haitians, both in country as well as in the broader diaspora, with a focus on the US diaspora. And I think this is a community that also is hugely impacted, as you've heard us speak to, by the challenges, the disasters, the political instability that happens in Haiti in ways that are really important for us to address as well. And so that's sort of the angle that my work focuses on. There are many phases and components of that work that my time here won't allow me to address, but I wanted to reference some of the work that I'm most extensively involved in right now, which goes back to my acknowledging Melissa, which has to do with young folks in both in Haiti and throughout the diaspora that represent a particular sort of richness and resource, I think, for us, and where a lot of my hope sits in terms of how we see a way through where we currently sit. And so what we've been doing at the Morehouse School of Medicine in collaboration with two strong community partners is training a cadre of young adult Haitian Americans to serve as community mental health workers. That work largely is taking place in Florida and Georgia right now, where our two community partners are, Les Baptistes Santé Mentale and the Catholic Haitian Chaplaincy of Atlanta being those two partners. But the idea is to expand that work across the US and to adapt that work in Haiti when it's safe for us to begin that work. But we've taken an existing curriculum and culturally adapted that for this population and are piloting it through training 60 Haitian American young adults. And it's predicated on this idea that we as health professionals, public health professionals, mental health professionals often have ideas about the kinds of messages, the kinds of services and supports that communities need. So we may have the right messages or tools. We're not always the best messengers. And so this program is based on that idea of really equipping young folks to serve a leading role in promoting and advancing mental well-being in Haiti and within the Haitian diaspora. And so I know that my time was short. That's as much as I'll share about it now, and look forward to expounding on how we're approaching that work as we progress with our discussion today. But it's a pleasure to be with you all this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor, for being here with us. Next, we have Dr. Portnoff. Do you mind sharing with us?
Hi, nice to be here today, and I'm also thank you just so much for putting this together. I'm just taking in so much and learning from everyone who's here today. You know, when we think globally, you know, it's like women and girls are mistreated, but the severity of this mistreatment is so extreme in Haiti. You know, when you hear the words kidnapped, blindfolded, raped, gang raped, tortured, suicide, murder, I mean, who can deal with such realities? And then there's the responsibility of motherhood, often due to rape. And then this is in the midst of poverty and maybe even a husband that's been murdered. And so when I hear these things, you know, it's like heartache is really the first word that comes to mind, but it's also followed by injustice. And so when we think about mental health for women and girls, you know, it's also like thinking about the injustice that exists. And so when we're thinking about mental health, we have to consider the lack of services, you know, that exists. We need better mental health tools specific to the needs of women and girls who require the most support, but also laws that actually establish consequences. Rape is one of the only legal crimes against women and girls, but due to gangs and threats of further violence, victims and families and threats that even include murder, you know, rape is rarely even reported. And so we have to ask, why does the responsibility of justice and then mental health recovery always fall upon the shoulders of victims? You know, how do we help women and girls carry this pain and find some peace and find resilience? You know, how do we encourage men to be protectors and sources of support? But how do we also support men who are also being victimized and traumatized by gangs? And so I'm a clinical psychologist and a researcher, and provided data analysis as my dissertation for Partners in Health in collaboration with Zami La Santé and Dr. Verdelli's Global Mental Health Lab. You know, I think of Lenny, Bepi, Pere Eri, Tati, Fizlme, Sarah, Jassy, Brian, and so many other team members, you know, some that I'm just even like connecting with today. I mean, it's a huge team with Partners in Health. And so everyone here, you know, has provided tremendous insight into this large scale community-based mental health project that was delivered across 13 hospital and clinic sites in Haiti. The system provided mental health services for common mental disorders, severe mental disorders, and neurological conditions, primarily epilepsy. Epilepsy is very common. And this was in coordination with psychiatrists, psychologists, and community-based mental health care providers, which it's so important to provide that training, right? Because this is the backbone of such infrastructure. Without this, you know, there wouldn't be enough providers to offer services. And so this project took place, you know, over 10 years, and it started after the 2010 earthquake. And, you know, the collaborative work, you know, instills hope, and it demonstrates the potential to build mental health care systems that are sustainable, even in a highly complex setting. You know, people may say, oh, it's a post-disaster setting. How do you build this sort of mental health care infrastructure? But it is possible. And so in my work on my dissertation, what we identified is that women are really in the most need of services. They also suffer the most from common mental disorders. You know, there's some different perspectives about why that is. And common mental disorders include, you know, depression, anxiety, and PTSD. And so I'll share more later in the presentation about some thoughts and ideas, and would love more input about like how can we build better programming and mental health tools for women. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Potna, for being here and for sharing this with us. Next, we have Dr. Judy Kuryansky.
Are you going to do a little introduction while I find my PowerPoint here? I'll say a few words here in terms of, are we seeing my PowerPoint now? Yeah. Yes. So I'm very moved by what you've put together here, Melissa. When Melissa joined my class at Columbia University Teachers College on Psychology in the United Nations, I was so pleased because she comes from Haiti, and that country is so dear to my heart and my working with Father Wismic for so many years. I recruited him to be on my team of NGO representatives for the International Association of Applied Psychology at the United Nations because I cared about Haiti, and I knew that he was a man with such incredible heart and such incredible skills that I was blessed to meet him and work with him. And then we were sitting in a meeting and he whispered to me, "There's been a terrible earthquake in my country." And I said, "That's it, Wismic, we must go there." I got on my phone and I called all the airlines, American, Delta, whoever was going there, to find a flight, which was hard for those of you who know about that, right, Sidna, since you went. And we had to fly to the Dominican Republic. And then we had to take a bus across the whole Dominican DR in order to get to Haiti. It was a harrowing trip, but then when we got there, the reason we went, as you see in this photo here, is that Father Wismic had said to me, "You know what? 10 of my trainees, my priest trainees, are missing." And the first thing we did when we landed was what you see right there in that picture. That's Father Wismic in the rubble of a school. And in that rubble were likely the remains of his 10 trainees. It is heartbreaking. But the love of that man and the work that he has done for his country and that all of you have described here is astounding. My history is very long, goes way beyond where some of you, before many of you were born, back to the early 70s when I first went to Haiti, and it was heaven, beautiful country, lots of wonderful art that you see here that I bought, and got traveling through the country, meeting all these beautiful people, hearing about all the ways that they use nature, and being at the resorts, and it was just an amazing experience. So then the horror then of the crisis, the sisma that Gilbert was describing, and Sidna having been there too, after the earthquake, going there and finding that not only were Father Wismic's trainees gone, but many of the health professionals were also killed and buried in the earthquake. And so we recruited students and anybody that we could, even restaurant managers, to support the people in the hospital. And that's the team that you see there in that photograph. And then we were by the l'église, by the church, where UNICEF had set up a tent, and we were doing trainings of the Global Kids Connect project that I've done for many years with my co-lyricist, and also who works with the workshops with me for many years, Russell Daisy, who has done a song for Haiti that we played for the children, and who's on this event as well. So you see some of the children there in that photograph, and the training of the CSW students that we did at conferences of CSW every year. And then we returned again with one of my other students, Alex Marjovitz, where we did recovery, a community training in Lakai and Torbec after the Hurricane Matthew there, which was very traumatic. And so the whole idea was to build capacity, as Father Wismic has said, because there were so few professionals. So we trained the trainees, the students, and the volunteers, and then we trained the community people, and they worked with the children. So it is that kind of cascading that builds capacity. Father Wismic has written books. He didn't show them, but I'm showing you them here based on his work and our work. And many of the people here have contributed chapters, and from his conferences here that are in French that you all should get. Here's the whole idea, is to build back better. That was the phrase Rabati that was mentioned, and the song that Russell and I wrote, Rabati, build back better, post-traumatic growth that was mentioned before. You see the CSW logo here. Out of the stones grows the tree. And here you have a broken piece of a vase, but when you actually glue it back together, it is stronger. So where there is life, there is hope is also a phrase for Haiti. And I have my flag, my Haitian flag here that hangs right here in my office. And the phrase is, l'union fait la force, which is very much the important message. Union, togetherness is the strength, and there is strength and hope. The context that's very important that I want to mention, go through all these points very quickly, is that this is the best time at the UN, where I have been for over 20 years, advocating about mental health. The Secretary General, the chief of the entire UN, has been very positive about mental health because of COVID. Actually, out of that horrible experience comes the silver lining. And that the Director General of WHO, the Deputy Secretary General, who happens to be a woman, of also the UN, and these are all the members of the group of friends of mental health and well-being who represent member states. Canada, Bahrain, Belgium, and Ecuador are the co-presidents. So all this support is happening for mental health now, which is very important given what Father Wismick was saying earlier about what do we end up doing. There are two instruments that are very supportive about this. You see here the logo I put together. Mental health is in the center, and these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are empowerment of women and girls, number 4 about education, number 1 about eradicating poverty in this complex system of recovery. On the right is the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, which has a phrase in there, which is extremely important, to enhance recovery schemes to provide psychosocial support and mental health services for all in need. So there is a basis governmentally for the support systems. Helping, as you see here with our volunteers that Father Wisnick and I put together, Russell also work with them, is helping the helpers. Out of help comes the helpers, but the helpers suffer too. You see the head of the hospital, the pastors, the people, the nurses in the emergency room, the psychologists, the helpers themselves, Father Wismick and I, even us being there, the doctors who were helping the patients. You'll see that in the video that we'll show in a couple of minutes. This is the treat to help the treatment gap, us training the students of CESA, working with the children that Russell participated in and created songs for so much, and a long conga line, helping all of the community, because the song Body has a phrase in it, which actually is in the Haitian language, but in French is "Nous sommes roseaux dans le vent, nous plier ne pas casser," which means we are like rose in the wind, we bend, but we do not break. That is a theme that is very important. As you see here, being strong as a tree was one of the techniques that we used. And this was rituals that Father Wismick led here with the nuns in order to create strength. There's also a ritual on the other photo that we use with the students, rituals of light, so that they can feel that energy and strength. So let's take a look at the video. And also this could be very traumatic. This is what Father Wismick and I did, and when we went immediately, as I described, to Haiti after the earthquake. If you could go to that video now, we'll see what the experience was like and what people were doing and what we ended up putting together in order to build the capacity and build the strength. Here we go. It's
My
a little
nuclear
troubling.
family is very affected by the earthquake.
My son was not there, and I lost him for 24 hours.
Well, when you actually look at these people in the eyes and ask them what their stories are, sometimes it's just makes you want to sit in the corner and cry.
The destruction was so intense that buildings were collapsed like a house of cards, including many of the churches. We went searching through the rubble of a church school to try to find the bodies of 10 young priests Father Wismick had trained, but there was no sign of them, and we had to accept that they were entombed in the rubble like so many, many people.
As you could see, a lot of people are living in the middle of the street to be away from the buildings in case there are aftershocks.
Being homeless, families are eating and sleeping on blankets so close together, even here in the square across from the damaged palace building. Sadly, people had nothing to do. As you see here, it's a particular tragedy for men who had no employment and no work and nothing to do. And even though the children were playing, this is still a tragedy because the schools were destroyed. So what's going to happen to this lost generation without education? Many children are also orphans, like this little girl lying in the lap of a woman who just found her because her parents were dead. Children are also tragically amputees, like this little 13-month-old girl whose mother died in the quake and her father may not be able to care for her. And this 5-year-old boy in the operating room, his leg is being fixed, but his left arm was amputated.
If they lose their limb, to them, it's like losing their life already. So they don't even bother to cut it off if they die anyway.
How do you feel about doing this kind of work?
Yeah. Give me a second. Right here. I've done this for a long time. Yes. Because I'm needed right now. Large class, find some gloves. Yeah. Done deal. To answer your question, I've been doing it for a long time in a lot of places. But this devastation and hurt, sorrow, tragedy is incomprehensible. We do all we can, one person at a time. I've been here for a couple of days. It's just hard to catch up, but I do my work. I mean, there's just too much work to be done to be overwhelmed by it.
Well, in a dramatic and devastating situation like that faced in Haiti today, mental health needs are extreme and they're massive, spread throughout the population, both of those affected and those trying to help the population. So we need to look at ways to try to reach the people to meet those needs as well as the material needs.
So we set up psychological first aid. Here you see me teaching a group of Boy Scouts some very simple techniques that I've used around the world and have been helpful, like how to help people feel safe in a 3-step technique. I am safe.
Je suis en sécurité.
You are safe.
What is that? En sécurité.
We are safe.
Nous sommes en sécurité. Nous sommes en sécurité.
Also taught them how to help children get rid of their headaches by taking them out of their heads and putting them in a hole in the ground.
On se sent comme un arbre.
We trained students who walked around offering comfort to patients at l'Hôpital de la Communauté Haitienne outside Port-au-Prince. The students, fortunately, are still going, and happily, the program is very sustainable.
I can help them about the mentor, about the situation of their mentor. So, and during this kind of things, I'm feeling good.
C'est très important que tu fasses quelque chose pour toi-même. Je me donne le courage.
Appreciation to helpers is crucial in trauma situations.
Thank you very much.
The Haitians have a saying, bon Dieu bon, God is good and will take care. Religion, as in the survey that we did about how people cope, helps people stay strong.
I find myself filled by the Holy Spirit.
In this ritual, the nuns are placing leaves and watering a rock from the rubble, symbolic of another Haitian saying, where there is life, there is hope.
So there's an example of the ritual that the nuns were doing and singing the songs together. The sound is not there, but there's actually singing that was going. There's actually singing that was going on. Oh, that's the next video there. Go back to my share screen here. Let's see, where's my share screen? Here we go. Okay, great. Yeah, so that was quite a powerful experience together, but it shows the ways in which we did some of the trainings, the specific things, the simple things that we did, and the importance of faith and Father Wismic leading that community. The safety is very important. You saw these activities with regard to teaching I am safe. This is showing the Boy Scouts, then the training of the children, taking the headaches away from kids, having kids understand that they're not the only one. They love that experience of looking at the graph and the world and saying, oh, you know what? Kids in other parts of the world are also experiencing what you are, and knowing that they can be resilient by this activity of tossing a ball like this and having the ball come back up and recognizing that they too can come back up and rise above. So these are simple activities. Contact comfort is very important. Hugging things. There's a lot of chemicals that flow in the body physiologically that are released when you actually have that contact comfort that's proven by psychology research with the little monkeys that you see back there, who preferred the fur monkey mother figure to the one that had no fur, but in fact gave them milk. So that was more important to be comforted than to actually get the sustenance. So in conclusion, I want to say that it is very important to speak out about this issue. Thank you, Melissa, for really giving us all the opportunity to do that, to spread the message of re-awareness about Haiti. There's so many tragedies that happen. I know we need to concern about Turkey and about Syria and all these things, but we must remember Haiti and spread the word through, as you see here, media, and even in what you are doing now in your experience here, and having hope. I'll just play a tiny bit of the song Hope is Alive that Russell and I wrote, and he did the music for.
I can't hear the music.
Okay, so the message of hope, the message of togetherness, the message of resilience. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Judy, for sharing with us all that you have done for Haiti. We're very thankful and grateful for you. Thank you. So first, I'm going to ask questions to the panelists. Dr. Valentin. So based on your experience working in Haiti, what are the most often overlooked but significant obstacles in Haiti that needs more attention?
You know, I think all of the panelists have touched on various problems and solutions in their presentations of their work. I think I would like to reflect on some of the teachings of Martinican psychiatrist Juan Spano, who taught us something about collective consciousness and responsibility and accountability. I think, you know, there are many examples of his teachings and ideas in, you know, movements that happened here in the US, particularly during the time of the pandemic, and with Black Lives Matter. We see strategies like distributed leadership that show us what happens when we do not look to one particular leader to solve a myriad of issues. When we rely on a communitarian approach and look at different segments of the population who can be involved in transforming and revolutionizing a society, we maybe have more impact and maybe find more results. I think everyone is sort of repeating the same message of togetherness and unity. And I think that's aligned with what I'm seeing now. I don't know if any one of us has specific answers or any one idea that could resolve everything. But I appreciate, my colleague, Dr. Bastien, who gave us some context to who all makes up the community. And the community not just being people on the island, but the diaspora around the world, having some role, having some part in transformation. And as I mentioned, I'm talking about collective responsibility. I'm also talking about collective accountability. And I think that has to do with the international community also acknowledging their role in some of the issues that we face. I think, as many of us have said already, the problems are complex and it's not the full story what we're discussing today. So I think, I think we have to be honest about why Haiti is facing what she faces today. And that honesty will lead us to reform.
That was a beautiful answer. Thank you so much, Dr. Valentin. My second question is going to Father Wismick. So, and temporary closure of Doctors Without Borders hospital has been ordered due to violence as the organization fears for its own safety. Since you are the founder of CESA and you return to your native country of Haiti for a yearly conference and your family still live there, how do you deal with the current situation? How do you keep CESA open, and what should be done about this situation, especially given the ongoing insecurity?
Thank you, Melissa. I have to let you know that I'm still in Haiti. I live in Haiti, even though I'm here now in the Vatican, but every day I'm in Haiti. So I cannot leave Haiti. I am in Haiti. So because it's in my heart, Haiti. So I cannot leave Haiti, even though physically I'm not there every day, but every day I'm in contact with CESA, with my team. So CESA is not closed. CESA is still open. We only close the services in some schools. As you know, so we provide services in 15 schools in Port-au-Prince. So at this point, we have 3 schools in Croix-des-Bouquets. They are closed because of kidnapping. And we have 4 schools in Cité Soleil, and those schools, they are closed. But we're still providing services in some schools, like in Saint-Gérard, in Tabar. So we still provide some services, but unfortunately we have to close some schools because our counselors cannot go to that area to provide services. So because we believe that we need to be with the children, they need us, they need us. This is the moment that to be with them. So even myself said, can we close? I said, no, we cannot close because we have to do our best to assist the children. So what can we do? I believe that we need to invest in children. We need to invest in young people because our problem is leadership. So we need a new leadership in my beloved Haiti. And to have that new leadership, we need to invest in the children, in young people. This is my conviction, and I invest myself in that work to work with kids, with children, to work with young people. They are our future. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate what you said, especially you said that you cannot close because they still need you. And that is very brave of you. Very. Thank you so much. My next question is going for Dr. Portnoff. So as a part of your dissertation, you discussed the need for mental health expansion for mental health needs, as well as the importance of including tools specific to the needs of women and girls who are largely underrepresented due to political unrest, violence, and more. So how does one develop an infrastructure that will address these issues?
Good question. I would say that, to start, I want to learn from people who live in Haiti to assess further what the current needs are. In order for mental health infrastructure to work, there has to be a willingness of many stakeholders, right? It's not as simple to just say, oh, let's get mental health providers to provide clinical treatment. It's many stakeholders. It's thinking about people in the community, such as teachers and police officers. It's the clinical providers. It's the willingness of patients to even come to seek these services. It's financial donors, academics, and the government, which, as we know now, is currently highly unstable. And there needs to be public policy to actually put into practice laws. Again, I just want to emphasize that there needs to be legal protection for women and girls. That needs to be part of the mental health conversation. To stop gang violence, there may need to be outside support of military or UN involvement, and retraining even of local police officers who are also participating in gang violence, to reach some sort of stabilization. Other key priorities for mental health implementation in Haiti, as I see it now, also include mental health tool expansion. Dr. Valentin, kind of spoke to some of this about, how do you develop tools that are specific to women and girls? This is tremendously important, and it could be, disseminated through the mental health hospitals and clinics that already exist, like Mirabale. These are places where we can develop tools that are specific to like family planning, postpartum depression. There's instances of perinatal psychosis or bipolar disorder, trauma protocols, issues such as interpersonal violence and sexual assault response. This sort of infrastructure isn't really formally in place. And also to think about how to improve suicide prevention strategies. And so mental health tools also must address, in my mind, functional impairment. So in other words, mental health needs to also connect to the realities of financial, food, and housing instability. For example, survival sex isn't uncommon, which means, trading sex for food. I mean, this is how scarce resources are. And so I think sometimes, mental health services sometimes say, okay, let's just focus on the mental health aspect. It's like mental health can also include in research grants. How can we provide, food vouchers or even just transportation vouchers? You think of the cost just to get between the different districts and different locations. Like, let's say you need to pick up a medication or you need some further specialized care. It's not always easy to get to these appointments. And so what are also screening tools that we can develop to identify such needs? I'm working right now with the team on a research paper that discusses some of these issues and thinking about what are some programs that can improve the safety and security of women and girls. Leaving violence is not easy. And to make it possible, the mental health infrastructure, I think, needs to include more crisis intervention that are specific to the needs of women and girls. This could include things like crisis hotlines that include identification and screening, care pathways that offer interventions, to have like officially designated long-term safe houses inside hospitals or clinics within Haiti. Or when transitioning from a safe house, there could be like a step-down program into transitional housing that's provided by local community members. And also to consider, how do we remove women and girls from the violent environments? How do we take women and girls to a separate or a different district? And how do we strengthen community ties to create and establish a greater sense of safety? You know, does this include things like you know, hiring bodyguards? I mean, can this be included in grant funding? How do we give women educational tools and job skills training so that there's greater independence? So again, I think that when we're talking about mental health infrastructure, we're talking about public policy, we're talking about a number of stakeholders, we're talking about crisis intervention, and again, mental health that's connected to the very difficult circumstances that women are having to face. And, you know, given the instability of Haiti, you know, are there ways for women to seek asylum? You know, does it include, you know, stabilization programs in other countries? You know, like it was mentioned in Florida, you know, that there's, you know, training programs for community mental health care workers. Can those community mental health care workers then deliver services to maybe women who temporarily come to Florida, you know, to work on some of trauma-focused treatments? So I think it's going to take a lot of collaboration and a lot of work, you know, to develop these sort of programs. But temporary relocation, you know, is also something that's even come to mind for women who are facing things like kidnapping, murder, who are severely traumatized and really haven't, you know, been able to find the stability of a safe environment. And so these are very complicated issues. They don't have a straightforward answer, but I really appreciate that we're all here and speaking about it today.
I do appreciate you for coming here and talking about this. I'm very grateful. Next question is going to Dr. Bastien. Given the severity of social political instability in Haiti, what is the impact on women and girls, and what can be done to protect girls now and provide psychological services for women and girls that are facing sexual abuse and violence in Haiti?
Thank you for the question, Melissa. And I think a lot of what I'd share in that has been captured in the remarks of my colleagues in acknowledging the complexity of what we're discussing here and the many sort of layers involved. But as I reflected on this question, it brought to mind a number of things. So when we're moving in contexts that involve this you know, multi-layered sort of pie of complexities, there's a sense of disempowerment, of overwhelm that can kind of characterize moving in those spaces. And so what becomes a really prominent priority for me in those instances is to look for the spaces where we have power that we can leverage. And so I think that's probably what you saw reflected in my discussion of the work that we've honed in on, that looks at the diaspora community, as Dr. Valentin spoke about, which is an often sort of underappreciated, underutilized kind of resource for our community. But that work also stems from and is informed by work that we did in the months and years following the 2010 earthquake that really honed in on training up young folks in Port-au-Prince to implement mental health group formatted interventions to address the trauma that they were seeing. And so my lens tends to be, what are the resources that we have available to us that perhaps are not being adequately leveraged in this circumstance, and how do we support and bolster existing modes of healing that can also be forgotten. I think sometimes we think there's a need to sort of bring and innovate some new shiny thing from somewhere else to realities. And what my experience is working in Haiti has often done is humble me and remind me of the resilience and the strength and the capacities that are inherent to folks there in country. And so working collaboratively in ways that allow community to lead that process and following the lead of communities, and instituting as a part of our work a necessary sit down with community listening sessions and putting together community advisory teams that inform any and all things that we put together, to me is an absolute must in these kinds of situations, as complex and impossible to sort of touch as these realities are. I find that folks close to the ground have an idea of where, even in small ways, things can be done. And so elevating those voices and creating the space for that community wisdom and expertise to shine light, I think is really the heart of where we need to move. And also, understanding that policies and government obviously play a significant role in the realities that communities are sitting in. But oftentimes we leave out of that equation the folks in Dr. Wismick's world, right? Faith communities, faith leaders, the access to credibility, the reach that they have is an important sort of aim for us. And so our work has both in Haiti and here in Atlanta now leverages faith leaders as those important messengers, right? As those important sort of linkage and connection points to services, and even working to retrain or supplemental training for our faith leaders to be able to address some of what will come to their lab before it comes to a Dr. Bastian or a Dr. Valentin around mental health supports. I found really important, and similar work that our community partner Les Bâtis Santé Mentale is doing in Haiti, and training teachers in a similar sort of vein, that they are working very closely with our young folks and are hearing about all of these atrocious sort of happenings that are impacting young girls. How do we equip them such that when those things are presented to them, they have something to draw from, some tools to draw from? But bringing to that, I think the heart of it is bringing to those efforts that humility and recognition and valuing of existing cultural and community expertise and know-how and wisdom, I think should be at the heart of that work. So that's what I would share on that question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bastian. This was an excellent answer. Thank you so much. And my next question is going for Dr. Judy. In order to gain capacity of psychological help, you have done this before. Please share with us the training you have done in the community. How does this help the suffering, and what goes into the training?
Thank you, Melissa. Power certainly lies in the community, as Gilbert said. The community people know what they need, and they have skills that are untapped and that are tremendous when you really involve them. So we will show in a minute how the training, actually the specific things that my team did with training the students and the community leaders. This was done all in collaboration with Russell Daisy, my music partner, who's also the co-developer of a lot of this programming and has gone to Haiti with me all the time, and on his own, and worked with Father Wismick, and who's written the music and who's really blessed. So power also lies in the team that you bring together. That's just incredibly important. And power lies in training the children, as Father Wismick was talking about, to be leaders. Soon we will hear from Melly Schneider, who is doing this work with creating leadership, which is so important, that I'm sure everybody would agree about, that is critical. The young leaders, the students, Melissa, you are a young leader, not only being Haitian, but caring that much to put this kind of event together. There are other students here who are supporting you from my class in psychology at the UN, who are not Haitian, who care and are committed. You have Nita, who is helping you with all the background parts. You have Tanya being here, and Fatima and Durga coming from other countries, India, and growing up in Kuwait, who care about Haiti and mobilizing as you are. So all of these issues, I think, create the help, because we talked about the problems, now the solution. So Anita, if you could go to the video, and there we could see with our own eyes what the training was like, and train the trainer's model. Those are the modules, 8 modules of the activities.
Alors, nous faisons 3 fois parce que nous devons sentir l'amour.
I'm practicing my French and speaking in French as best I could in this training, but Father Wismic said, speak French.
Troisième étage, nous disons, nous sommes en sécurité. Alors, avec les yeux, on veut tous les gens.
Okay, this is showing how kids love looking at the map. And so the CSW students are looking at the map, and they're also doing another activity of introducing each other with an adjective that they like. You can continue the video. I'm just talking over it to explain what's happening. And they love this activity. Kids adore it. They go in, twist themselves around, and then say what they like about themselves, and everybody repeats it. And there is joy that happens. It is okay in the midst of trauma to feel a moment of joy. Here's the geography lesson that they love. Where is Haiti? Where is Japan? Where is the United States? All these other people in the world, children across the world, are all sharing. And they feel, I'm not the only one. And it's a very wonderful experience. And then what we did was arts. So arts, as you know from the music that you will hear and the music that Russell and I have written, that he wrote the music and we wrote the words, art, drawing, this was creating dolls and sharing them and exchanging them around the world in this Global Kids Connect issue. So culture and arts, especially with children, really works in recovery from the trauma and creating some sort of not only joy, but connection with each other, as has been brought up, that this group, much research has shown, community connection, group connection, feeling like a family, really raises people's sense of resilience and feeling good. Here's Russell teaching them the song about Rabadi and building back better. And there's Father Wismic speaking about the experience.
It's really important to move forward. So again, I'm really grateful that we can have Sweet Heaven to heal the kids and to help them to know that they're not alone in that experience of trauma that they have known for a year and a half.
So the dolls went around the world to different countries. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Judy, for sharing with us. Next, I'm going to introduce Melanie Schneider to explain to us about leadership for Haitian girls that can help them feel empowered.
So thank you, all of you, for having me on this panel. Thank you, Melissa, for organizing. Thank you, Dr. Judy, for all the encouragement all these months, with sharing my voice, and just to all of you panelists. I feel so moved. I really was trying to hold back the tears the whole time. So yeah, it's just such an honor to be here. And just to acknowledge my own context. I've never worked in Haiti. I haven't had the opportunity yet, though I will say, especially after being part of this panel, I certainly want to. And so just to speak about my own work a little bit, I am an integral coach. I work with adult leadership and development. So, and I'm really curious about, how to bring out the authenticity in each person, how to bring out the leadership in each person, and how to make sure that as people are fighting for their rights, whether it's in Haiti or let's say with the women in Latin America that I've been working with who face a lot of stigma, especially women leaders just face so much stigma over there. How can they take care of themselves? So I've really come today, I think, with a lot more questions than I have answers. And many of you have really addressed just how complex it is to address the mental health issues in Haiti. And so I just wanted to take a moment to say that my perspective as a coach is really about partnering with people as whole human beings. And I know that with gender-based violence, a lot of people sort of get classified as a victim, and that becomes their identity. Of course, they're victims of gender-based violence. No one is denying that, but taking on the identity of victim is completely disempowering. And so from my perspective, it's really how can we think of low-cost solutions to really bring out the best in people, to really partner with them, to really have them start thinking about, their future, even in the midst of all of these problems that are outside of their control. So in my own studies and my own research, I've focused a lot on mindfulness. And I love what Father Wismick was speaking about, how we should really leverage people's faith, and also Dr. Judy about leveraging people's strengths and talents. And I think whether somebody leans more on a scientific worldview, or if somebody leans more on a, let's say, spiritual worldview, a practice like mindfulness or meditation within their own context can really support them to build those inner resources to keep going and to find that centeredness, to find that peace in the midst of everything that's happening around them. It also helps to be able to sort out kind of what is my responsibility versus what is not my responsibility. Is it my responsibility that there's gang violence or that I was raped or whatever else? No, absolutely not. But it is my responsibility to say, how can I take a moment just for myself to connect with myself as a whole human being, regardless of my circumstances? And so I know that that this is likely not so feasible for people that are in situations of like extreme acute trauma, but I'm thinking more about the female leaders, that are on the forefront, the activists that are really fighting to make these changes, as well as the men, of course, who are involved in this dialogue. How can we really support them to take care of themselves? And so, yeah, I'm just so grateful to be here, and I'm really curious. It's like, yeah, what can I do? How can I get involved? How can we all use our skills to really put Haiti back on the radar? Because it's, as I think Dr. Judy mentioned earlier, it's so easy with all of the crises that are going on to forget about Haiti. So thank you for having me. And if anyone wants to continue this conversation afterwards about coaching and female empowerment, I will drop my email in the chat.
Thank you so much, Melly. It was a pleasure having you here. So I do have a song written by Dr. Judy and Russell Daisy. It's called Honor Our Girls. We'll share it in a few minutes.
I think what's important about Honor Our Girls for this particular event is that it was written by myself and Russell Daisy, who I mentioned earlier, bless him for all his devotion around the world. And it was written actually for the First Lady of Sierra Leone's project, which was Hands Off Our Girls, against violence against girls in all ways. If you wait for a second to show the video while I explain this, against rape and what was discussed earlier about giving in to have sex for money and all kinds of violence and early marriage. And that project, Hands Off Our Girls, which was a very negative message to men to stop all that violence, which is valuable, we turned around in a positive psychology perspective to say, honor our girls. So it supports the First Lady of Sierra Leone's project, but also is so applicable to Haiti.
Honor our girls, they're the future of our country, hope for our world. Honor our girls, they're the love of our life, future of our country and hope for the world. Keep them from harm, protect them from hate, Hands off our girls, no time to wait. Respect our girls, support them each day as they build miracles and magic for our world every way. Honor our girls, live the love of our life, future of our country and hope of the world. Intelligent minds and beautiful souls, loving and kind as they reach for the goals. Farmer or banker, nurse or preacher, merchant or lawyer, designer or teacher, or president of our nation. Anything's possible with a good education. Honor our girls, they're the love of our life, future of our country and hope of the world. Honor our girls with a seat at the table. They're certainly willing, certainly able. Honor their strength, protect their power. Nothing can stop them when they are empowered. Empower our girls to the love of our life, the future of our family, the center of our community, the soul of our society, core of our country, and our hope of the world. Honor our girls, sweet Mama Salome, Africa. Honor our girls.
Right. This was an awesome song. Thank you so much, Dr. Julie and Russell, for writing this. It's beautiful. Thank you. So we're gonna open it up to the attendees. There's one question by Tash. How can we help raise awareness? If one of
I think we would all agree that you have done a great job, Melissa, in raising awareness right now. You put together as a parallel event like this for the commission, the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, and we've addressed the issues of women and girls. And this, you drew, many participants. You have brilliant panel here of people extremely committed with very valuable things to say. And this will go on. It's not just about now. This will be posted on the website. You will put it on YouTube. You will write a report about it. I will help you get it published. And this message will go out there. So that's the point. And all of us who are here now are energized. Melly said she wants to do something. I'm sure the other people who are here and my other students, want to get involved, and the word spreads. So Melissa, you have started this domino. So what about the others? Gilbert, Sidna, Larissa, Melly, Wismik, Father Wismik.
I would echo the applaud or commendations for Melissa. Just super impressed by your initiative and vision to even create this kind of a convening, given where you are with your own development. And so, I'm excited to see where you go next, sister, because if this is any indication of what you will go on to do, great things are in store. But also wanted to acknowledge that sentiment. I think it's hard to hear about what's happening in Haiti and have a beating heart and not have that reaction of, what can I do? Where can I help and contribute? And I want to add a piece of reflection around that, because they're out of that sort of intention to help, to do something, a very natural and human sort of reaction to this. I've seen instances of folks getting pulled into efforts to address that don't always land in terms of having the kinds of impact that we would want, and that would really speak to the needs of folks on the ground. So I always caution folks to be thoughtful about what you do with that angst and that pull to do something. And I think there have been seeds of lots of good things that have been planted throughout this discussion that can help us kind of anchor that desire in some wisdom in terms of how to move thoughtfully and ethically in ways that will ultimately have a meaningful impact, and that really, protect the space for communities to lead us in that, and to be in conversation with us about how we can collaborate with them in supporting around these issues. And so, but also want to echo Dr. Kuryansky's point about these kinds of discussions and the spheres of influence we each occupy. You now are equipped with some knowledge to contribute to that awareness raising, even by just saying you were a part of this conversation, and it left you with a lot to think about. So social media has allowed us a lot of sort of outlets for that, in terms of just getting this on folks' radar, to the extent that it's being flooded out by all the other things going on in the world. But then also you've now been exposed to folks who are connected and have reach in country. And I think tapping into those connections as a vehicle to collaborate meaningfully with community would be my sort of suggestion and recommendation around how to start with answering that question of how can I help?
All great points.
Yeah.
And I'd like to suggest that we don't leave it here and then go our separate ways. I, for one, have known about you, Sidna, for ages, and you, Joubert. I also know people who work at Morehouse who were my radio show interns, as a matter of fact. So I and Larissa, what you were saying was really brilliant in terms of all your suggestions, working with Lena, who's been a friend for ages, and of course, Father Wismick and Melly. And so how I think we need to continue this. I want to know more about Joubert working with you and sitting with everything that you've talked about, the projects that you're doing. We can all contribute to. We should create a working group. And Melissa, I'm going to ask if you do take the responsibility to do that, is to make everyone who is here on this panel collaborate together, and any of the other people who have attended now, and spread it out for people who are willing to really do something together as the next step.
Excellent. I think that, Melissa, you have the leadership to bring us together. So we need to continue to do that. And I also, what Dr. Bastien said about the diaspora, so I think that we need to work with them. They have so much that they can do with us and for us. So we need to continue to work together. And this is one thing that we're trying to do at CESA. So whenever we have that conference, every year we invite our friends from the diaspora to come to contribute with us. And Dr. Bastien, every year, she is with us. And this year is going to be on August 18th. So I will send the date that you come, that you are with us, and Sid now also always there with us. So this is Melissa. So we need to continue to be together, to talk together, and to do something together. So that's just a start. But to continue that. Yeah.
Melissa, are you willing to take on that mantle? We've cornered you.
Yes.
Oh, bless you. Really, I all the power of you to make this happen is just phenomenal.
Thank you so much for everyone. Like, I want to thank you all for taking the time of your busy schedules and to participate in this wonderful and productive discussion. Like, it's an honor to have such accomplished panels here with me to come up with solution and address sexual abuse and violence and literally what's going on in Haiti. Thank you so much. Haiti is very dear to me, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
Love you. Oh my goodness. Wow, how amazing, Melissa.
Thank you. Okay.
Wonderful. Love you
Thank you.
all. Love to everybody for today. Nita, thank you so much for your support of Melissa and this whole event.
Okay.
Nita, you should turn on your camera quickly so we could see you. And thank you. There you are. Thank you, Nita. Everybody needs a team, needs people behind them and with them, in front of them and aside from them, and all. So bless you, everybody.
Thank you.
And Russell, turn on your camera. I think you're there. Where's Russell? Russell, turn on your camera. He's clapping. I see. Russell, so we could see you, the man behind these brilliant songwriting and music.
Where is he?
There he is,
Oh!
Russell, leading the children in their conga lines and singing bonji bonji bon.
Mon Dieu, bon.
Right, bonji bonji bon.
Mon Dieu, mon Dieu, bon.
And singing in Creole of all things. We could send out the song in Creole.
De cet un coup aux nanban, nous plier, nous pas casser. Bon Dieu. De cet un coup aux nanban, nous plier, nous pas casser.
Ah,
Bon. Je vous aime totalement.
Ah,
magnifique.
Magnifique.
I will send you an email to confirm. Okay. Thank you,
Blessings, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bonjour, bonjour. God is good. God is good.
Everyone, every attendee, if you guys want the recording of this Zoom meeting, you can share with us your email and I will send it to you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.